Good morning, one another. Well, excuse me. Good morning, Saturday Moaners. Welcome to Saturday Moaning. How are we all? It's Saturday morning. It's Saturday morning. I'm forcing good cheer through my chest. It's quite muggy here and overcast, and it looks like it's going to piss down with rain. What's it like where you are? Where are you in the world? Obviously, we were live a couple of times last night, picking up the bizarre Putin-Trump love fest that wasn't really a love fest. It sort of was odd, the whole thing. So we're gonna explore the analysis of what didn't happen, because it didn't feel like much happened. Hi Zoe, morning Stuart, morning Penny. We're going to wander through that. That obviously is occupying most of all news outlets around the world, which generally means that all journalists are distracted by just the one story. So I'm looking forward to your takes on it. Some people feeling that perhaps Vladimir Putin's double was sent, given the fact that he skipped down the stairs of whatever Russia's Air Force One is, with the alacrity of Gene Kelly and the finesse of Fred Astaire. I almost half expected him to do a double pike, triple backflip somersault as he went along the red carpet. Someone somewhere, please give us the AI of that whilst Donald Trump was applauding. In other news, Donald Trump applauded Putin 3 times as he landed and walked towards him. And then the White House's official social media platforms cut the clapping out. They didn't want it to look like Donald Trump was gimping out. So we've got enough gimps in the world with Starmer. So we're principally going to be obviously talking about that. We're going to be talking briefly, of course, as we always do, about some of the news coming out of the Israel-Gaza crisis. We've got a MasterChef clip that will have you guessing as to what on earth went wrong. Very strange mistake in the edit. And we've got lots and lots of other stuff. We're going to be talking Shoplifters hitting the news all the time. We've got tears from the king and from his dear wife, the Queen. We have an injured dolphin. And get your foreign phrases book out. What's your favorite foreign phrase to use when abroad, and how are you mangling it or making it absolutely unintelligible? So without further ado, if you haven't, do subscribe, do hit the notification bell. You will be notified of all of our uploads. We have something for everyone on this channel. We've got lots of movie reviews landing this weekend, The Materialists, Nobody 2, and there was another film, Together. So all sorts of movie reviews. There's mental health films, one went up this week. Thank you on that. Just briefly, do go off and check it out. I did a sort of stream of consciousness mental health checkup. Thank you so much for so many lovely comments underneath. It felt almost difficult to answer one, because then of course you don't want anyone to feel that you're not answering the other one, but so many, and I went through them, and it's just, I keep going back to them. So thank you so much. Very kind, very thoughtful, and I hope it was of use. So, and don't forget, at 11 o'clock today, 11 o'clock this morning, you've got the Curly Cooks of Croydon cooking up a storm in the garden yet again. You're liking the outdoor al fresco aspect to it. I think they're both wearing bikinis today, so be warned, you may need to put your 3D glasses away. Okay, so let's have a look at the latest news. So headlines regarding yesterday's bizarre, well, I'll tell you what we should do before we look at the headlines. Should we do I have an amalgamated cut from the BBC of highlights from the moment. So for any of you who missed it, let's check it out. Here's the kind of highlights. Just before that, Donald Trump had applauded like a madman. Then he flew some of his American jets over Putin. Putin, I think, for a moment, maybe wondered whether he was about to be taken out. Then they stood, parent eyes. There they are, driving off with a bubble iced tea in his beast. Very odd moment here.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen,
here we go.
Our negotiations have been held in a constructive atmosphere of mutual respect. We had very thorough negotiations. They were quite useful. We've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security in Europe and in the world on the whole. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Naturally, the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that.
There's no deal until there's a deal, but we had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but
there's no deal without a deal. We got a deal. We haven't got a deal. We've negotiated and agreed on a few small things, but there's a kind of big thing that we won't agree. Curious comment there from Putin where he says, and of course we'll secure Ukraine's security. I think what he means is whatever's left of Ukraine. As I understand it, I think Ukraine now occupies something like 20% of the country. Russia occupied 20% of Ukraine. Of course, I mean, we don't need to kind of indulge in the age-old diplomatic concerns. If you allow him to get away with it, will he take more? A negotiated peace where he, seizes what he's got and keeps it and declares it as Russia is a victory in a sense. Will it lead to him wanting more? I think one of the things everyone seems to forget, it's taken quite a long time for Putin to achieve 20% of Ukraine. He can't live forever. And whilst it's a little bit like the Netanyahu problem in Israel, there's the devil we know, but then there's also the devils we don't know behind them. Though in Israel, there's the devil we know, and then there's all the devils behind Netanyahu, who we also know, who are building illegal settlements all over the West Bank. One of my major takeouts is, so you're right, someone just said that all of the US media and the British media, the world is utterly flabbergasted and perplexed. No one really knows what to make of it. It didn't go so badly that Putin stormed off and didn't come out for the press conference. I mean, we're looking at the things that didn't happen in order to draw conclusions about what has happened. One of the big negatives would have been Trump coming out after they met and Putin not attending the press conference. But one of the weird observations that a number of people have made is that Putin really controlled, to quote sport analogy, the T zone. Putin was the first to speak. Putin spoke for 8.5 minutes versus Donald Trump's unlikely 3.5 minutes. Putin reminded us of his stake, if you like, in Ukraine and their fundamental mission. And he also reminded America, Trump, and the world that Alaska has long-standing Russian sort of history. I mean, you could argue, there was a little bit of an argument there that if Trump wants Greenland, could by the same extension, could Putin quite justifiably demand Alaska back? The part of it all that I found deeply disturbing was how the entire world's press, the entire world's media, Chuck Schumer in the American government talked about how awful it was that Donald Trump congratulated, applauded, and rolled out the red carpet for Putin in terms of him being a wanted war criminal. And yet, let's not forget, Netanyahu has been greeted with an absolute standing ovation and applause 2 or 3 times now in the States, and no one uses the same language. It's really bizarre. It wouldn't be so bad if none of the media were talking about how awful it was that Trump was entertaining a wanted war criminal. Suddenly the ICC's finding, suddenly the issue of arrest warrants from the ICC and the ICJ is totally indisputable and to be talked about from the rafters by the world's media. But it's a detail that is forever conveniently ignored when Netanyahu steps into America. It was so boldly apparent in the BBC's running coverage and in all the world's running coverage and in all the aftermath of people going, how dare he? I mean, it's not to say that it shouldn't be how dare he entertain a war criminal, but you have to surely, presumably, apply the rules equally. It strikes me as so bizarre. So just moving through the headlines as they were this morning, Trump updating NATO leaders on Putin's summit after lengthy call with Zelensky. He was on the phone for an hour and a half with Zelensky. The latest news is that Zelensky is heading to Washington on Monday. So we could be in for another White House bust-up if Trump feels that it's Zelensky who needs to get the deal. So prepare yourselves. We could have an astonishing situation on Monday to, excuse me, I'll just pull that down. Let me just pull this. I'm just keeping the headline feeder going so that we can give you the latest news. Let me just scroll. Oh, what would I know? Let me just scroll back up. In other news, there's speculation online on X that there could be a ceasefire of the air, as in air attacks, drone attacks, but Zelensky and Ukraine are saying they haven't seen any evidence of that and no one's contacted them. Trump-Putin meeting, the Times reports Zelensky told to make a deal on Ukraine. Trump spoke to Sean Hannity on Fox News after his summit. Interestingly, this is an interesting image for Trump aficionados. Trump disembarked Air Force One after the summit. He left the plane, got into a waiting car without making any comment. The US president emerged and slowly walked down the stairs, giving look at that, a sort of very cursory thumbs up, a sort of desultory thumbs up to the press. Now, he took no questions at the end of the press conference, and I think John Bolton, the former security person in his first administration, said, I think the thing we should all be more worried about was, did anyone else think Donald Trump looked tired? He looked tired. He looked exhausted. His phone call to Norway demanding that they give him the Nobel Peace Prize. I think he saw it going away from him. I think he realized he's taken his tie off. Very, very important observation there, Fee. Thank you. Yeah. Tie off. Maybe he'd strapped it around his head at one point just to kind of, I don't know, stop the blood pumping around. I wonder if he had a McDonald's up there. So, you know, he didn't do a chat with the reporters. The world's press said it was a very uneventful return home. Meanwhile, out the window of Putin's plane, he was filming this. Look, the Americans are squeaking home. American F-35 fighter jets flanking Putin's departure. Kremlin published its official social media account. It very much feels like, I mean, what people are very much saying is that, you know, Putin has scored a victory here, because what basically he's got, so, you know, like Keir Starmer was picking up Donald Trump's notes. Keir Starmer squeaks every time he moves because of the really tight-fitting gimp outfit that Trump's got him to wear. It strikes me that Putin's got the orange Cheeto in a gimp suit all of his own. Nadia felt, when I went into the other room after our lives last night, she said, clearly Putin told him what he's got on him. Because don't beat around the bush. Although I'm a huge believer that the Epstein files, in my opinion, the whole Epstein scandal is inextricably entwined with Mossad and Israeli intelligence services getting stuff on people, and they have stuff on Trump, that's for sure. Those intelligence services also talk to other intelligence services. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Russia has a copy of whatever it is Israel has. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if in coded language, some serious threats were made in that very brief exchange between Donald Trump and Putin. Who believes that? Who thinks that Putin once again exercised his leverage against Trump? And someone just said there, Rachel Thomas, that perhaps Gavin Newsom's tweets are getting to him. Let's not forget, also on Thursday night, I believe it was, we did a coffee moaning, and Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, posted some incredibly, well, not cryptic, but piss-takey tweets saying he's got stuff on Trump that will make Trump's eyes bleed. My words, not his, but something along those lines. Putin was in control, Karen Ula. Medvedev said they had the same Epstein files. He did indicate that, didn't he? He did indicate that. Fee, yes, definitely, he is blackmailed. Yeah, Andrew Lowney's book says Putin has the goods on all Epstein's crew, Bridget M. I mean, if you're Russia, and I think, you know, Russia are highly critical of the Israeli assault on Gaza. Every country has a sort of cooperative relationship with every other country for things that suit them, you know? So it's not just like you're their ally. And I think this is something we have to wrap our heads around. Israel is not an ally. It's a liability. America is no longer an ally. Every country is self-serving, apart from, it would seem sometimes, ourselves, where we seem to be forever hobbled and compromised in everything. I've read a lot into this image. I thought this image was incredibly significant. There is a man down on his uppers, is that the phrase? Or sort of, you know, destroyed. Here we go. Trump kept quiet on Air Force One. President Trump didn't speak to reporters on his return flight. Air Force One touched down at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland at 2 a.m. Reporters on board described the flight as uneventful. In fact, the entire thing was uneventful, apart from just really me marveling at Putin's fancy tap dancing footwork. I mean, he's quite a mover and quite a groover. And at one point, it certainly looked like he'd possibly taken some happy drugs. No deal and no answers, reports The Guardian, after brief Trump-Putin talks on Ukraine in Alaska. No Ukraine ceasefire, but a PR victory for Putin. Key takeaways from Trump's Alaska summit with Russian president. There weren't really any. Putin got exactly what he wanted from Trump, reports The Telegraph. After US president's pampering, Russian leader will feel he has shown the world he is back where he belongs. And I think that's significant. I mean, after all, you know, why stop with one? Trump's made one wanted war criminal feel like the absolute, like the second coming. So he's done the same to another one. He's welcoming war criminals everywhere. I wonder why. It's kind of interesting. Why Putin's grin as he left Alaska says it all. The Don and Vlad may have ended without a big finale, but there seems one clear winner. Okay, let me put it to you all. Who won? Who won in this strange, performative, non-deal, deal? And there are three possible victors here. Putin, Ukraine, or Trump. Who won? Just let us know whilst I carry on trotting through these headlines. Here are some of the kind of images from Getty behind the scenes. You can see Trump looking a bit troubled. Putin having the time of his life. I mean, the other thing they did as well, apparently in a sort of sly comment, obviously Sergei Lavrov, we showed last night, arrived in a CCCP T-shirt. Such a great design, that, isn't it? You know, sort of former Soviet Republic, USSR type T-shirt, sort of reminding the world and everyone of Russia of old and their claims on all the republics that have become separate to Russia. But, you know, they also apparently on the Russian flight, they served chicken Kiev in a real kind of dark, sinister kind of jab, I think, at Ukraine. It's sort of, well, that felt a bit Squid Gamey, that whole thing. Putin's dog, says Anna-Marie Shellard. Trump can't keep it shut. Putin is very clever. Mark, Trump and his administration hate Europe, says SC. They want to destroy Europe. Well, I mean, this is my worry. This is why I think there's many stages to this, really, America allying with Russia. Let's just put some real meat on the bones here. Something that Putin spent a lot of time talking about was the gradual increase in trade between Russia and America. I think Russia and America have a vested interest in the two economies uniting and trading. The detail of Ukraine becomes something that Trump can now say. I think this is how he'll play it. I think he needed a Ukraine deal, though, so that he could distract MAGA from Epstein. But I think once Putin sat there and held the photos up and said, we've got this, matey, he backed off. So I think Trump will now kick it back to Ukraine. No deal happening will be all Ukraine's fault. And my genuine concern is that at that point, you're right, SC, Trump and his regime will cut us all dry. And then it's up to Starmer. Oh, sorry, Donald. Donald, we will fill the breach. Donald, thank you so much for leaving it all to us, Donald. We will send more soldiers, Donald, and we will fight Russia. And at that point, Trump will be like, you're on your own, mate. So these photos here, again, Trump looking troubled. Trump not looking great there. Look, Putin like, yay, having the time of my life. Trump like, fuck me, this hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. Yeah, exactly, Rachel Thomas. Lots of symbolism going on. USSR T-shirts, fly passes, and chicken Kiev on the menu. Though, to be brutally honest, the fly past was Trump's. Lots of machismo, and I really want a chicken Kiev now. I feel really bad, but I really do want a chicken Kiev. Trump not looking great there. Putin team trolls its way to Ukraine summit with Trump as it serves chicken Kiev or Kiev for an in-flight meal. You see, one of the things that I can't help but have a sneaky admiration for is Russia have quite a sly sense of humor. And as I understand it historically, it's something that the Brits and the Russians have liked about each other, is the sort of irony and humor. But yeah, serving Kiev seems particularly grisly. Social media, however, the Daily Star reports, and some of you have referred to this already, social media is convinced that Putin's body double met Trump due to one reason. Eagle-eyed members of the public are often convinced that Putin uses a body double. But what is the one reason? I think it's down to the way in which he walked and the way he talked. And he did have that has to be said. There are two ways of approaching this. He had the swagger and he had the fat foot shuffle, fat as in P-H-A-T, of a man ready to dance. I mean, Putin was ready to dance. Does this mean that it was a body double, or perchance, perhaps, God forbid, Daily Star, could it be that the propaganda of the West had convinced us that Putin was so much iller than he was? Maybe we had a vested interest in thinking he was shaking, he was shivering, he was tapping his feet. This, I hate to say it, and I'm not belittling whatever condition he might have. This is a man ready to dance. He's dancing, if you're asking. So whilst there's speculation, I'm not entirely certain. I found not that I know Putin's face intimately, I've never kissed it, but when they cut to the big close-ups in the very brief press conference, I saw a man I could have had a vodka with way back in the day, or certainly a cup of tea. Anyone here think he was his body double? Are we in that ballpark of thinking it was his body double? We're going to move on from this now. I'm just going to triple check there's no other breaking news other than this suggested possible. In other news, Trump says if the meeting with Zelensky works out on Monday, that's a big if, the US will then schedule further talks with Putin. Allegedly 2 minutes ago, Ukraine reports the Russian Defense Ministry has said its forces have taken a vital village in Ukraine's Donetsk region, according to the state media. So, Russia wanting to just remind the world that it's business as usual on the battlefield. We're ploughing on, no stopping there. Penny Albertella has an interesting point to be made here. NATO instigated this war. Merkel said Minsk II accords signed weren't meant to be implemented. Instead, the West armed, trained Ukraine's neo-Nazi Azov battalion, which Zionists redefined as nationalists. Now, Penny, you've gone into the extraordinary detail of the history of Ukraine, and I'm pleased you did, because when you dig into the history and commentators that we admire and respect around topics like Israel and Gaza, such as Mearsheimer, and there's the other guy, I forget him, he's a Ukrainian specialist, former, I think, an American diplomat. You're right. If you dig into this isn't to say that Putin and how Putin's gone about things is right, far from it. But there is a lot of background. It's like context. It's like if there's history, and there is, to the horror of October the 7th, 75, 76, 77, 80 years of history, there is also history to the situation in Ukraine. And I think it sometimes suits the West to just pick the story up at the point that something obviously bad has happened, such as an invasion. I just want to talk about Israel and Gaza for a moment. Obviously, things haven't gone quiet. The deaths continue. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation still shoots people. We had an American contractor, person, one of the GHF snipers. I don't know if anyone saw last week. We didn't post because we had stuff going on, but we witnessed him upload a sniper crosshairs, through his lens sight of Palestinians seeking aid, and how it just reminded you of how easily every single Palestinian is a target. And in other news, oh no, that's not it. In other news, I've gone and got rid of it. Just bear with me 1 sec. I haven't done it again, have I? Sorry, just 1 second. Just trying to see if I had these. No. Oh, that's annoying. Let me just send you over the headline that I've got for Israel. Do bear with me 1 sec. This is a significant story, and it's not nice. So I'm just going to send this over to the computer. Bear with me 1 sec. Sorry, I just missed this in the pulling things together. So this headline, and the reason I want to wait for the headline is it's very significant. Israeli unit, it's coming up now. Israeli unit tasked with smearing Gaza journalists as Hamas fighters. Now, this comes obviously off the back of them killing 6 Al Jazeera journalists. This week they killed Anas al-Sharif, as well as 4 to 5 other cameramen and commanders. And this story is just awful. This is Israeli Palestinian magazine says that the IDF has a legitimization cell or unit set up to blunt global outrage over the killing of media staff. This is really important because we hear about what the IDF and Israel are doing on the battlefield. We see the bombs, we see the sniping, we see the starvation, the man-made starvation. But they also have huge propaganda pushes in all departments. And a special unit in Israel's military has been tasked with identifying reporters that it could smear as undercover Hamas fighters, so that they can then target them and then blunt their international outrage over the killing of media workers. The legitimization cell was set up immediately after October the 7th to gather information that could bolster Israel's image and shore up diplomatic and military support from key allies. I mean, again, this is not surprising, but this is part of an enormous, the war of propaganda from Israel that the Western media just buys into is quite phenomenal. The constant justification of killing any journalist, finding any kind of connection between a journalist and Hamas. So let's just pause for an example with Anas al-Sharif. I think allegedly there's an image of him talking to, or perhaps fist pumping or hugging a Hamas operative. Most journalists, let's think of, Sky's Beth Rigby. She is seen around, the Houses of Parliament, and she'll shake hands with and she'll hug all sides of the political spectrum. If you're a journalist, you're talking to all sides. So I think to use the idea that they have communication or connection with, especially the side within which is the side that they're reporting on, is farcical and is yet again just another example of how Israel weaponizes the Western media into believing all targets are justified targets. I mean, yes, there's been a moderate kind of, outpouring of outrage around the killing of the journalists, but it hasn't really prevailed. And we're still witnessing the kind of language being used by the Western media in terms of just in Putin's arrival in America, the crass hypocrisy, the double standards is breathtaking. Everyone trotting out the line of how awful it was that Trump was entertaining a wanted war criminal, not convicted yet, wanted, and yet not the same language used ever at all by the mainstream media about Netanyahu's constant trips to America. It's just the hypocrisy is terrible. In other news, far-right Israeli minister, this is Ben-Gvir, taunts jailed Palestinian leader in prison visit. This footage was doing the rounds all over social media. He was taunting a former Fatah leader. Let me just find his name. His name is Marwan Barghouti. But again, and I sense that perhaps this was in response to Hamas posting the footage of the hostage. So apparently Ben-Gvir, the security minister, routinely goes into prisons to harass and humiliate Palestinian prisoners. And this guy Marwan Barghouti, who is I think he was a leader of Fatah, which is another organization in the West Bank. He's a huge sort of, if you like, martyr or huge name in the Palestinian mission for statehood. This is him going in to give him some of his.
מי שירצח לנו ילדים, מי שירצח לנו נשים, יעסק עם עם ישראל. מי שירצח לנו ילדים, מי שירצח לנו נשים, אנחנו נמחק אותו. אתם צריכים לדעת את זה לאורך כל ההיסטוריה.
It's just odd, isn't it? It's just odd. He's just such a repulsive man, Ben-Gvir. He's such a thug. Don't forget, he's a guy who the IDF considered too extreme to actually recruit. Too extreme for the IDF. That's where we're at. So yeah, that's sort of news coming out of Israel. And do check out the big news of the week was Smotrich, the finance minister's suggestion that 3,500 settler homes are going to be built in a crucial part of the West Bank. This is such a major story that's going to become bigger. I think it's called the E1 district, which is effectively, if it goes ahead, and it's more than likely it will, it's got Trump's agreement. It will split the West Bank into the north and south. The whole idea of, divide and conquer. So those are the two sort of big global stories. Here we go. No point arresting shoplifters are everywhere, aren't they? No point arresting shoplifters when the court set them free, says policing chief. Katie Bourne tells the Telegraph it's madness how many times thieves have to be detained before ending up behind bars. Now, I just kind of wanted to put this question to you. What do you think can be done about shoplifting? Of course, there's the spectrum. There's the incredibly needy, the desperate, the wanting to feed their children. Then there's the kind of almost industrial shoplifting where they ravage entire shelving units to then sell it on the black market at a reduced price. Do supermarkets need to revisit their profit margins and reduce prices across the board? Then you're kind of unpicking at the edges of capitalism. Do we need to get iron-suited security things in where no one's allowed in? It's a one in, one out situation. Lucy, interesting. Thank you. Here we go. Lucy Williams. Bring down food prices. I mean, I was in Sainsbury's the other day and I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have some cherries. £5 for a punnet of cherries. I mean, you're getting to the point where you're like, hang on a minute, this is just getting ridiculous. Absolutely, take away the need for it. It's about poverty and addiction, says Carol. How do you mean take away? Oh, do you mean, again, in a similar way, reduce the cost, change lifestyles? Yeah, I know what you mean. The prices are so high, says Good Ship Lollipop. They're ridiculous. I got a cube of butter the other day. It's amounting to those small ones you get in sort of, hotel buffets. Whoever owns the media decides on the levels of outrage, says Dawn. Yeah, well, I mean, the Telegraph always takes a sort of their scumbags approach. More security, Anna-Marie Shellard says. Notice how some shops only provide security till 6 p.m. because people don't break the law after that time. I would argue more people break the law later in the day, don't they? Cherries are pricey, says Steph Schultz. Stormbreaker, I have zero sympathy. They have done away with so many workers and want us to scan ourselves. How that's an interesting point. Yes. So once again, the only reason for self-service, presumably, again, is to maximize profits. So if you maximize profits, reduce staff, sort of, what's it called? Not weaponize. No, you don't weaponize. Make it even more technical and sort of self-serviceable. Then don't be surprised that more and more is getting stolen. Fruit is stupidly expensive, isn't it? It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Persephone personified nothing. It's legally what stores in America do. We are legally not allowed to stop shoplifters. My ex-husband was a manager of a grocery store. They aren't allowed to chase outside after them. And yet we have a conservative police commissioner in Buckinghamshire telling the public that it's our duty to do more. Not in London, it isn't. Not on your Nelly. I'm not in a sort of happy shopper going to go and challenge someone who's running around with a fucking machete, or could be running around with a machete. No way. You just don't know who's going to stab you anywhere in London. In other news, MasterChef shows same shot of Greg Wallace 3 times in editing blunder. I'm going to show you it now. This is bizarre.
So I wanted a sweet element, and they were to hand in the garden. So isn't that what I'm here to do? Push myself, take a risk. It's so far, so let's hope I don't fault now.
What? How did that get past the edit? Let's play it again.
And they were to hand in the garden, so isn't that what I'm here to do? Push myself, take a risk. It's so far, so let's hope I don't fault now.
I'm beginning to wonder whether an editor placed one of those cut. Maybe there was it's a difficult one, this. How did this get through? They've obviously gone back into the show and they've had to re-edit things. They've possibly re-edited things to make our 2 presenters, or certainly Greg Wallace, seem less predatory. But they've chosen a kind of shot to band-aid it in which he looks like he's about to eat her head off. Can you believe that? I mean, he looks so I've got to do it again. It makes me laugh too much. He looks so sinister.
Sweet element, and they were to hand in the garden. So, isn't that what I'm here to do? Push myself, take a risk. It's so far. So, let's hope I don't fault now.
It's so fucking weird. Moving on, the Queen appears, Camilla, you know, they do call her the Queen. Queen appears emotional following off-script comments by veteran about the King at the VJ, Victory in Japan event. There's the King. Lots of tears here. I'm just going to show you some of the footage.
The fact that he's under treatment for cancer and ailing that I share with him. And if it provides any comfort of which I've been rid for the past 25 years.
Oh, very sweet, very moving, very upsetting. I mean, whatever we think of the royal family, he's quite a sensitive soul, isn't he? Old Prince Charles. Queen moved to tears as veteran comforts King over cancer diagnosis. And there he is, 105, that chap on the left. Ray Crew, I don't care. Yeah, no, there's a real intolerance for the royals. I get that. But I know there are some people who love them. So I'll avoid the next story, which is about William and Kate getting a new home. Who gives a fuck about that? Michael Barammore, 73, reveals shock health diagnosis that led to mini strokes as he reaches out to fans for support in heartbreaking post. I developed epilepsy at 73, he says. And he's posted some images on TikTok from his bed. A recent mini stroke caused me to develop epilepsy where I have uncontrollable seizures. It's scary because there's a 40% chance of going into epilepticus, which causes brain damage and death without prompt medical attention. Obviously, he has a sort of, he's kind of had a bounce back, hasn't he, since the sort of controversy surrounding the party, etc. He's had a bounce back on social media, but it's a shame to see him incapacitated like that. He has a huge following on TikTok, and quite a healthy one on Instagram. Public warned to keep away from injured dolphin filmed with Dorset swimmers. I know the tendency, isn't it? You see something like a dolphin and we all go, oh my God, that's so cute. But actually, conservationists are flagging the dangers of human interaction after Reggie was filmed playing with family. Here they are playing dolphin. Oh, see that sound at the beginning.
Hello. Yes, hello. So it goes on long.
Good Shit Lollipop reminds us that dolphins can be really randy. You're absolutely right. You've got to be careful with a dolphin. It's not just they're smiling for all the wrong reasons sometimes. The public has been warned to keep away from this injured dolphin, which was filmed, as you've seen. The Marine Management Organization has said that it was increasingly concerned about a lone dolphin spotted in Lyme Bay, Dorset, following multiple potential marine wildlife disturbance offences. It's a bottlenose dolphin. It's been nicknamed Reggie. It appears to have a gash on the right side of its torso beneath its dorsal fin, apparently it's not part of a pod. So it's an injury. Yeah, it's a kind of scratch injury just underneath its dorsal fin. Can bananas only be grown in hot countries? That's a killer question, Julie. Not too sure where that's come from, but the foreign phrases you keep using on holiday, but really shouldn't. I thought you might have a bit of fun with this. What's your most, okay, everyone here, now's your chance to show us how good you are on Duolingo. What are your favorite or most commonly used foreign phrases? Is it Mamma Mia? Is it Je ne sais quoi? Is it churros? Is it Fraline? Is it Sacre Bleu? What are the ones that we use most? The foreign phrases you keep using but really shouldn't. Even well-meaning attempts, says this piece, abroad can backfire. And then the Telegraph runs through a list of the most common ones we use when we're abroad. I love prego, says Farida. Prego. Hola, says Hazel Malbon. Yes, Dolphin looks happy to be playing, but I understand she would be better with a pod of his own. Absolutely, Tanya. I say bonjour and mange tout, Rodney. Oh, good job, Lollipop. Very good. Bonjour, oui. So in France, we most commonly will say sacre bleu or ooh la la. God, I could never say that. Or je ne sais quoi. But apparently in French, it generally just means whatever. If you say je ne sais quoi, we think it means, oh, that's so sort of cultivated and wonderful. But apparently in France, if you say it, they just think you mean, yeah, whatever. Je ne sais quoi. Je suis chaud, chaude. Je suis chaude. This could mean one is warm. Or je suis plein, which means it's at the end of the meal means full. Garçon. Oh, God, if someone was in a restaurant and said garçon, I'd fucking have a heart attack. Any attempt to speak Spanish is usually well received. No one will be bothered, but there are certain words you might slip up with now and then. Pollo, meaning chicken, is all too easy to mix with polla, which is a slang word for penis. So don't say polla, because otherwise you're saying dick. Germany, Achtung, is one that's often used, but it's a bit insensitive due to the whole World War II thing. Schwul, this means muggy, humid weather. Stein, it's a beer mug, but everywhere else it's a rock. So if you order a Stein outside of Bavaria, you're likely to get a confused stare and a handful of pebbles. Fraulein, that makes me think of allo, allo. And in Italy, things like chowing, relentlessly chowing everyone from small children to the carabiniera that has just stopped you for speeding can get a little bit annoying. Believing that Italians actually say mamma mia. Don't make that mistake. Oh, God, mamma mia. Could you imagine that? And finally, as we move to the final stories, I'm going to save that one actually for the No Name Sunday show. I've got this story here. Oh, we talked about that. Social media believes Putin's body double met Trump. Here's some photos to finish up with. We've got some doves being let free. I can't remember where that was. I do apologize. Another photo of the king with the 105-year-old war veteran. A dog leaping through a fantastic something or other. This is for Independence Day, I believe, in India. Look at that. A duck carrying a duckling on its back. Oh, bless. An artist is lost in art. Mr. Trump, no deals behind Ukraine's back. A young Ukrainian girl protesting the summit meeting. Zebras getting themselves in a stripy fix. And look at that beautiful shot of the moon just beyond the Shard. Incredibly close. Good God. And here is a matador having a quick, sneaky fag before heading out to do some ball dancing. And these are beautiful. These are paper doves lit in an installation at Southwark Cathedral. So if anyone is near Borough Market or in central London, head there. I might drop in. I do find churches peaceful. So the idea of a whole bunch of paper doves above me, that sounds lovely too. Thanks, guys. There you go. A race through the papers. As I say, it's all pretty much populated with Putin-Trump nothingness, really, apart from the belief that and the feeling that Putin has kind of scored a PR victory. Let's wait and see what the fuck happens on Monday. In the meantime, in 15 minutes or thereabouts, the ladies, the curly cooks, will be bringing you some tasty, delectable food from our patio or our garden. Something else will be landing later. And yeah, stay safe, San Diego.